And right now, what is the most important work?
Is to continue maintaining a highly liquid platform for our clients to continue managing their FX, equity, and commodities price risks.
And what is the long-term strategy of SGX?
Our long-term strategy is to entrench our position as a global exchange partner of choice.
What is your philosophy on expanding the China business?
We see ourselves as a bridge between these markets that promotes cross-border capital flows and China's internationalization.
Do you think this will become a trend?
如果你想走得快，就自己独行；如果你想走得远，就与人同行。
新加坡交易所和中国资本市场联系紧密，它是中国企业境外上市的主要上市地之一。而除了中国业务，事实上，新交所呢今年在很多其他方面也是卓有成效，比如说积极推动可持续发展和金融创新。此外，新交所的一大特色是国际化，而且呢它也是定位于一家多元资产交易所。那么新交所在业务发展上究竟有哪些经验？对于中国业务有哪些规划？今天我就对话新加坡交易所集团首席执行官罗文才。Mr. Law, thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Hang Yu, for having me on this interview.
You have been the CEO of SGX for nearly 7 years. During your tenure, we have seen a lot of work, such as the reform of the listing rules, allowing the listing of companies with WVR structure and SPACs, promoting sustainability. And right now, what is the most important work?
The past 7 years have been extremely fruitful and fulfilling for me and the team at SGX Group. All the initiatives that you mentioned were important steps that we made over the past few years to enhance SGX Group as the exchange of choice for global market participants to invest and manage risks, for domestic and international companies to raise funds via equity or fixed income, and for investors to preserve and grow their wealth sustainably. Globally, we have not fully recovered from COVID-19, and we're confronted with issues including a challenging geopolitical environment, rising interest rates, inflation, and slowing economic recovery. So right now, our most important work is to continue maintaining a highly liquid platform for our clients to continue managing their FX, equity, and commodities price risks, and also to facilitate fundraising for listed companies during this challenging period.
Indeed, a highly liquid platform is important in this difficult time. And what is the long-term strategy of SGX?
Our long-term strategy is to entrench our position as a global exchange partner of choice. To do so, we will continue to focus on strengthening our key business lines, embrace digitalization, and taking concrete steps as a company and exchange partner towards net zero. In the last 2 years, we made $1 billion worth of acquisitions and investments to capture growth opportunities, and we're seeing these investments pay off through the strong synergies of our newly acquired subsidiaries. Today, these businesses form the key pillars for SGX Group and will continue to propel the group to its next growth phase. On embracing digitalization, with the rapid rise of new innovative technologies, this is an area that we cannot ignore. So we will also be working on digitalizing Asia's market infrastructure through the use of new technology such as DLT and smart contracts, especially in the areas of fixed income, currencies, and commodities. Last but not least, sustainability. As an organization, SGX is committed to net zero. But more than this, because we operate a multi-asset exchange that allows us to facilitate companies and investors' movement towards their green goals by helping them to raise the funds they require, manage price risk, and investing with purpose.
SGX is the most international exchange in Asia. Among the companies listed on it, overseas companies account for more than 40%. In terms of multi-asset, SGX is also in the forefront. It has asset classes such as FX, equities, fixed income, and commodities. So what is your experience in promoting internationalization and multi-asset of this exchange?
Collaboration with like-minded partners is key. So, in addition to adding overseas offices, we have been actively building connectivity with marketplaces around the world as we look towards broadening our platform. For example, we collaborated with New Zealand's exchange to expand the distribution of its dairy derivatives through our international network. We have a depository receipts linkage with the Stock Exchange of Thailand to facilitate cross-border investments in companies listed on both our exchanges. Our multi-asset strategy has guided our development in the past few years, and we have been purposeful in how we drive growth in each of the asset classes. In 2009, we launched the world's first iron ore swaps when Singapore is neither a consumer nor producer of these steel-making raw materials. Today, we are the world's largest seaborne bulk commodities exchange with more than $1 billion worth of iron ore derivatives traded on our exchange every day. And less than 10 years ago, in 2013, we launched our FX derivatives business. Now, we are on to developing a FX marketplace that combines our FX futures and OTC FX offerings in an innovative digital marketplace that can help participants manage risks with ease, efficiency, and greater liquidity. Just shy of 7 years ago, we kickstarted our custom indices business, an area dominated by the big boys. Nobody really understood what SGX indices could do. But today, our team is developing and calculating proprietary custom index for private banks and asset managers, and many of them are from Europe because they want to build indices that caters to the Asian markets.
Let's talk about China. SGX actively expands its China business. It has entered an agreement with CIIS to distribute its securities market data within China. It has also agreed with Shenzhen Stock Exchange to develop ETF Link. So what other plans does SGX have in China? And what is your philosophy on expanding the China business?
As the region's leading business and financial hub, the inception of RCEP will likely see Singapore facilitating more regional capital flows between China, Singapore, and ASEAN. For SGX Group, we see ourselves as a bridge between these markets that promotes cross-border capital flows and China's internationalization. And there are three ways in which we play this role. First, providing an effective listing platform for Chinese companies to tap on international investors to raise funds and go public. Second, facilitating the internationalization of Chinese assets. Thirdly, widening the range of investment options for Chinese investors. Chinese companies that are looking to expand globally, especially within Southeast Asia, have gone public and raised funds on SGX to raise their profile and to be closer to their customers. Today, companies from Greater China account for 15% of SGX total listed companies' market capitalization. And these companies come from diverse sectors, from property, clean energy, healthcare, technology, entertainment, to manufacturing. In the past 2 years, even as the pandemic plagued global markets, we continue to welcome new listings from China, and Chinese companies that are already listed on SGX also successfully raise funds through the secondary market. You would probably have read about the recent public listing of NIO, a premium smart EV company from China that successfully completed its secondary listing on SGX by way of introduction just a few weeks ago. Another example is Yangzijiang Shipbuilding, which was listed on SGX 15 years ago, spun off and listed its financial arm, Yangzijiang Financial Holding, on SGX main board. Over the last 2 decades, we have also developed Asia's largest global REIT network, and this is an area which we see ourselves playing a complementary role in China's development of its own REIT market. We also see ourselves as a natural partner to China's internationalization. More than providing Chinese companies access to international capital, we also facilitate international fund flows into Chinese assets such as equities, bonds, and promoting the internationalization of RMB. Today, about 15% of bond issuers on SGX comes from Greater China. With the further opening up of China's bond markets to global investors, as well as strong demand for sustainability bonds, I also see room for collaboration between SGX and China for bond listings, including green bonds.
You mentioned NIO was listed on Singapore recently, making NIO the first auto company listed on 3 exchanges, New York, Hong Kong, and Singapore. Do you think this will become a trend?
For many of our listed companies, they've chosen SGX for several reasons. Access to international investors in Asia's wealth management hub, Singapore as a strategic location to grow their global business with our pro-business environment and trusted regulatory regime, a venue that offers sustainable long-term capital and differentiated solutions across companies' varying stages of growth. To illustrate this, we don't just get companies to list on SGX and purely raise funds. We look to be the company's strategic partner that can support their growth journey, from offering private firms privileged access to SGX strategic investor network to helping listed issuers deepen their engagement with stakeholders on their sustainability initiatives. We work with companies at every step of their journey. 所谓独行快，众行远，我本身非常认同这句话。如果你想走得快，就自己独行；如果你想走得远，就与人同行。I'm a firm believer of this saying, and it is an approach that I take from the way we run the group to our partnerships with our peers and our long-standing relationships with all our clients.